Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hopefully you can hear me okay. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for some of you. This session, we are going to look at Docling. I know we looked at Docling before. I would like this session to be a little bit more hands-on and also answer questions. If you have questions about Docling or other expanded use cases, I would love to go over that. You can take a picture of the screen. I'll put this link to the presentation right here. 1 second. Oops. So always click. There we go. And I'll put this link to the presentation here. And then this one has links to everything else. So if you just come here, you should be good. All right. Quick background. My name is Sujee Maniyam. I work in AI, data engineering, and cloud. I've been working with the AI Alliance, contributing some of the projects, including Docling and Data Prep Kit. And here's my contact info if you'd like to get in touch with me. So very quickly, why do we need Docling? Is basically whenever you are doing data preparation. It could be you are developing a machine learning application or maybe any data application, right? So here I'm just highlighting an example. You are developing an LLM application, but doesn't have to be this. It could be in any data application you're developing. So let's say you have data in lots of different formats, PDF format, Word documents, HTML, what have you, right? So how do we get the data out of these documents and to a format that we can either develop applications or feed it to our LLMs? And that's where we are highlighting some of the tools that will help you with these tasks. And I'm pretty sure everybody has gone through this. For example, right, if you have a bunch of documents, you probably want to start with maybe, if you have duplicate documents, maybe that's the first step you want to go through. You want to extract data from various formats like PDFs, HTML, things like this, and maybe remove some markups, right? Like if a document has lots of emojis or things like this, probably not needed for your application, so you want to remove those. And also, we would like to talk about chunking, and chunking meaning splitting the document into smaller pieces for easy search, things like that. So all of these things, most of us will go through when we are preparing data for our applications, and Docling can help you with this. And just this is the thing I always say. I mean, personally, right? I mean, I don't enjoy data prep, right? This is something we all do because we have to, because we want high quality data. But it's right. It's not something as exciting as developing a new model, but it is something we have to do. So this is where Docling comes in handy. And as I'm going through, please post your questions on the chat window. I'll keep an eye on them, and then I'll try to answer as many as we can. Yeah. Oh, another thing before I get too far ahead, I just want to give a link to the AI Alliance Office servers. So the sessions we are doing, we are going to be posting here. I'll put this link here. So if you're curious, what's coming next and our past sessions, you can go here and look at these. And we have links, and each session will have links to the resources like presentation, code, and everything, right? So yeah, you can actually keep this one and take a look at all the upcoming sessions as well. All right, back to this. Right, and also, so very quick word about Docling. So what Docling is, think of Docling as a document parser on a very simple terms. It's very powerful because we had PDF parsers for a long time now. But what Docling does, it actually uses machine learning models to parse documents, which is very good because it's been trained on lots of different document formats. So when it sees like a PDF or a Word document, it can extract the content, pretty accurately. And it actually supports, right now they support a lot of different formats, I highlighted a few, like PDF, HTML, or your usual suspects, right? And if you go to the GitHub, it's one of the it's one of the popular projects. It gets a lot of stars. A lot of people use it. Yeah. So and also it can do, like I said, it can understand complex documents, like if you have data in tables, images, things like this. It can actually extract those as well. Open source, it has Python API, and also they also have integrations with other frameworks. So for example, if you are building something with, say, Llama Index or LangChain or any other frameworks, you can actually use Docling within your framework, so which is very versatile. Yeah. And so again, like I said, Docling itself uses deep learning models. So and when we do our labs, I will show, right, it'll actually download the deep learning models during runtime and actually parse your documents, which is pretty cool. So how do you get started? Very simple. Like I said, you can just do like a pip install Docling, and then it has a command line too. So you can actually run Docling as a command line, and you can say, hey, I want a PDF file, convert it to Markdown format, or extract data in JSON format. That's it. Just one-line commands to do this. Yeah. Very versatile. A lot of the times I am using command line because it's simple. I don't have to write any code, and it just works. Right? And this is how, if you're starting out a Docling, this is something I would recommend. Start with this, right, before you write kind of code. But the code is not not too bad either. You can see just 4 or 5 lines of code, basically document converter, and then give it the file. And from there, you can export the output to Markdown or JSON or other formats. Let me kind of pause here for a second. Let me see if you have any questions on this one. Let me look at the questions real quick. Oh, good question. There's a question about multi-page tables. Interesting. So I have processed table data. It does it pretty well. But the multi-page table is interesting. This is something I haven't tried personally, but yeah, something I like to try it out. I will hopefully try this out and give you guys an update. That's a good question. But I'm leaning towards yes, because it does table data really well. But I will try out the multi-page table. That's interesting. Yeah, great question. Yeah. So. Right. Question is what model they use. Actually, I don't have a link handy, but you can find out real quick. So if you go to Hugging Face, actually, no, sorry, I have the link right here. Hold on. In the previous one, there we go. All right. So here, I'll put this link here for you guys because, like, yeah. And it's in the presentation, right? So again, right. Remember, basically, only link is needed, even though I'm giving you a bunch of links. Just look at the presentation link. It has links to everything. Let me put the link to the presentation one more time. So this way you don't have to memorize, have too many links into a presentation. All right, guys. So this is the only link you guys need. Everything else is here. Anyway, so for the Docling, they do have their own model. So if you have Hugging Face, Docling models, you can read all about this, right? Yeah. So these are pretty sophisticated models. One thing I've found is they are very accurate extracting data, but running these, and you'll see when we do our hands-on, running this does take time, right? You remember these are pretty extensive models, so they do take time running, but the output they produce is very high quality, and that's what you want, right? When you imagine you are processing your PDFs or whatever, you want the output to be pretty good. You don't want to compromise on the output quality just to save a few seconds of runtime. So that's important. And you can see like how they do. Like for example, you can see right, how they pass like formulas, footnotes, right, list items, things like this. So they have scores. Yeah, you can go through them. Yep. And these are updated pretty regular basis. So when you run a Docling, they will download the latest model. Yeah, very good question. All right, let's keep going. So at this point, what I like to do, I'm going to showcase some of the features, but I think it's also fun if you guys get to see it on your own. Let me give you the link to the code I have, and we will actually run through the code. So there you go. So can you see if you guys can come to this page? This is the GitHub page I set up with the with the labs. Let's see if you guys can come in, and we will run a couple of notebooks. So this way you see it in action, because I do like this to be a little bit more hands-on. So, and then you can just, and by the way, you can run these. You don't need any special setups on your laptop. You don't need to have Python or everything. We are going to be running on Google Colab, so it runs online. So it's very easy to run. So let me know if you guys can get to this page. Let me set you guys up with the code, and then I will continue with the presentation. Yeah, everybody here, look at the last link. Yeah. So, so these are some of the examples I'm kind of working on with Docling. So scroll down a bit, and here you see the command line reference. Let me actually make this a little larger. There you go, probably a little better. Yeah, to see. So we are going to start with the very first notebook. You can look at the notebook here on GitHub if you like. All right. You can see the code. But what I like you to do is open this on Colab. So this way we can actually run it. All right. So when you see the link, go ahead and you can say right click, and then you can say open new tab. So it'll actually open in Colab, and you will have it like this. Please give me a thumbs up if you have the file open in Colab. Right, again, we are going to this code here. Scroll down a bit. I have two examples I'm going to show you today. One is an intro notebook. Another one is processing images, like OCR, which is pretty exciting. All right, so please go ahead and open this in Colab. So basically, right, you can just click on this link. Right, I usually like right-click and say open new tab. Just so I like to keep this tab open, and that's it. And once you have this open, go ahead and run this. That's all we have to do, right? There's no other setup. So if you have this open in Colab, just go ahead and run, because some of the install steps might take 30, 40 seconds. So I want us to save some time. So let's kick it off. Go ahead and run it, please. Yep. So very simple, right? You sort of say runtime and run all. Let it go. I just ran this. So yeah. Okay. How's everyone doing? Good. I'll explain. So as you have the code, I will explain some of the features, and you can look at the code alongside with me. Because like I said, I do want you guys to experience this firsthand by running the code, and you see how easy it is. Yeah. Okay. I will get to the OCR question. I see the OCR question. I will answer this in a bit. Yeah. So good questions. Keep them coming, please. All right, very quickly. So remember first premise, right? We want to extract text data from PDF Word documents, and that's where usually you start with Docling. So here on my left-hand side, I have a PDF document, very simple PDF, and on the right-hand side, here's a markdown. So you can recognize the markdown syntax, right? And this is just plain text. So when I process PDF, personally, I like to export them into markdown format, because to me, it's plain text, and B, still keeps formatting, right? For example, you see the headings, you see the bullet points, right? So I still get the kind of a structure of the PDF with the headings and bullet points and tables and everything, but in the text format. So to me, that's pretty good. Yeah. So, and you can also extract this in JSON format. So JSON gives you a little bit extra information. For example, right? Here I'm showing the same file being the JSON format. So they're kind of showing you like here's a header, and then right, and the text, right? And here's the bullet points, and here's a paragraph. So JSON gives you a little bit more structured format. And for example, if you want to process text only, you only want to process up to heading level number 3 or something, right? See how it says subtitle level 1, right? and level 2, things like this. So maybe you want to filter with, I only want to process like a second level headings or whatever, convert to JSON, and then you get a pretty good metadata. Yeah. Tables, we talked about this. So it does tables pretty well. So this is the table, right? And you can see it's a PDF table. And when I convert this, I get a plain markdown table right here. And do you recognize this markdown tables, right? And they just put a vertical slash, right? And then if you display them in a pretty format, like for example, your editors will display markdown tables in a nice format, like Visual Code or any other editors, looks like this. But at the end of the day, it's just text data, right? So again, it does it really, really well. What if you have something like invoice, which is a pretty common type of PDF? Yeah, no problem. It handles it pretty well. So you can see the line items here being converted to like a table, which is pretty nice, right? So yeah, so it does a pretty good job because remember, this model is trained on various different PDFs, so they can do a pretty good job. Yeah. So these are all PDFs. And finally, I also wanted to show you an HTML. So let's say I'm processing some websites. I want to extract, let's say I have web pages. I want to extract text data, because web pages can be pretty noisy, right? With like a lot of scripts, trackers, and formatting and everything. I just want text data. Like I just want text from the website, and Docling can do this for you, right? You can see here's my website. You can see lots of images and trackers. But at the end, I get a very simple markdown page. Yep. So very, very handy if you want to extract the content. Yep. By the way, and this is something I would mention, see how it says image placeholder? By default, they will just put a placeholder saying image, but there's an option for Docling to actually extract the actual image itself. So if you give that option, it will actually embed the image as it is. So you're not losing images. The default behavior is, you just put a placeholder, but if you actually want the images as part of the output, you can do that, and Docling will actually extract the image data and just keep the image intact. So that's very handy. Yeah. All right, let's see this in action. Right. Before I go to OCR, let's see this in action here. So if we go back to the notebook we just ran, let me walk you through this real quick. Right here, I'm determining if I'm running on Colab or not. And you see, right, I'm running on Colab, because if I'm running on Colab, there are a few steps I have to do. For example, I need to install Docling. Because Colab doesn't, the Colab default environment doesn't have Docling, so I need to install this. And as you can see, mine took about 2 minutes. So that's why I had you guys run this before, because sometimes these install steps take a long time. Yeah. Oh, the reason I said this HF, and you see it's a mirror, because remember, we are downloading models from Hugging Face. And if you don't set this, sometime you will get connection refused errors or slow connections, because remember, this is basically allowing you to go to any Hugging Face mirror. I would highly recommend this. So whenever you guys are doing application that are downloading models at runtime, always set up the mirror. So this way, you're not just going to like this one server, right? It'll automatically go to a mirror that's close to you. All right. And we're just setting up input-output directories. That's pretty much it. And since I'm running on Colab, I'm downloading the file. So right now, I just have a file called earth.pdf. You can see this file if you like. I'm downloaded into the input directory. So if you want to see the file, you can actually see this here. Click on this. Right, it's downloaded for me. Let me just look at this file. Right, so it's like a very simple one-pager. Right, just for demo purposes, I just create a simple PDF, and that's what we are trying to convert. Okay, so I downloaded the file. Now, first, I just want to extract the data on the command line. So remember, in notebooks, you can run a command with the exclamation, so that it will actually execute a command. So this is not Python code. This is actually executing a command line. And this is the simplest way you can start with Docling. Yeah, that's it. And I'm saying, save it to output directory. I'm saying, convert to a markdown format, and here's my input file. And if you look at the output directory, let me show you here. All right. By the way, click on this little folder icon. So you see my input, right? I have, input files downloaded. Yeah. And output, remember, I am converting Earth into Markdown and JSON format. So if you want to look at the Markdown format, just simply double click on it. And this is just Markdown, see? Pretty good, right? So this is a Markdown we actually created. That's it. And you want to look at the JSON format, right? I remember I converted both Markdown and JSON. I want to show you how they look like. Open the JSON format, it's just a JSON, right? You see this? Yeah. Right. Scroll down a bit, you'll see. Look at the text attribute. So it'll say, right, section header, right, page number, all that, right? So like I said, Markdown, you get a lot of metadata to go with the output. All right, it will say, okay, there's a text, right, and then section header, and you can keep going down this, right, and here's a text, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so both formats are fine, MD and JSON. Yeah, those are the two popular formats. Let me pause here for a second. Any questions so far? Is everyone able to kind of see the output? No? And let me look at the questions real quick. Yeah, so the footer, a couple of questions. That's a good question. When you have a footer in your PDF or Word document, I know it comes out in the JSON format. Like, if you look at the, not here, maybe I don't have it here. Do I have footer? Yeah, there we go, right? So in the JSON, in the JSON, it will actually have a section for the footer. So you can extract it. I haven't tried it on Markdown, but you should be able to try it and then see how they export the footer data in Markdown. That's a good question, but I know for a fact it comes up in JSON. Yep, very good. Good question. Let me look at a couple more questions. Okay, so see a couple of questions. Oh, how to set up Visual Studio? Okay, so this is interesting. Let me take a couple of seconds to explain this, because this can be important. Because even though Colab is very convenient, if you're going to be doing this, you should have your own environment set up, right? And here's how I would recommend this. Let me actually bring up here. Let me show you my setup here. Okay. So here's my screen. Let me make this larger. All right. And so I use Anaconda, and right. So typically I have multiple environments set up for each project I work on. Because remember, each project will have different dependencies, different versions of Python libraries. So it's highly recommended you set up a unique environment for each project you work on. So let me show you some of the ones I have. Right, I have a lot of those. Right, so you can see with Docling. There you go. Right. So I have an environment set up exactly for Docling. And by the way, the steps are actually in my GitHub. Let me actually show you real quick. Right. So if you go to the if you go to a Docling page, I have steps on how to create a environment for Docling. Right. So here you can see I'm creating a Docling. I'm calling it Docling intro 1, activating it. Then I'm installing requirement.txt. And what is requirement.txt basically has, right? It'll basically have Docling, and if you need Jupyter and other things, right? But this is the main thing. And that's it. That's as simple as it. And you can see it just takes 3-4 lines of code to do this, but it will save you a lot of time down the line, because if you are working on multiple projects simultaneously, like I do, each project has their own setup. So you don't want to mix and match. So having a separate environment allows you, right, to have each, right? So basically, when I want to work on something, I just simply say conda activate and the environment name, right? That's it. So I get Docling. So now, once I have this, I have Docling command line available, right? And also Python libraries. So yeah, so just follow the instructions there. And also in the Visual Studio, right? Once I have, let me show you here. I just ran this so I can show you here. Right, so this is my Visual Studio. Let's say I'm looking at Docling. Let's say I want to run this code, right? And basically, right here, you can click and say, I want to choose an environment. See how so the environment Docling, the same one I use in command line, and that's it. And then you can run it. That's it. So easy, right? So VS Studio is very easy. That's what I use day-to-day coding, right? So basically, once you set up your environment, right, and then in VS Studio, you simply go and say, right, I want to choose, this environment to run all my code. That's it. Good question. Thanks for asking. I know sometimes, because we do this all the time, so sometimes I cannot do this, almost instinctively, but it's a good practice. So what are the basic practices, right? I recommend when you're starting on a Python project, just set up a local environment, right? So each project will have a unique environment. Right. So hopefully that answered the question. So let me take this out. And yeah, good questions, guys. Please keep them coming. So downloading text from websites, yes, right. So now, there could be copyright issues and things like this. You're right. So remember, this could be your internal website or like your own company website. Because I just did a project, we actually converting data from our AI Alliance website, right? And then. So this way, this is one website. So we are downloading and processing data out from this. So yeah, so be mindful of the copyright issues and whatnot, right? When you're dealing with website, yeah, all that goes. Okay, let me quickly do this real quick. Another question is, can Docling handle JSON? Are you talking about parsing JSON? I think Docling produces JSON output. I haven't actually fed JSON into Docling, so that might be interesting to see. Yeah, so I need to find that out. Good question. Let me see. Right. So, question from Rich. Yes, parsing the document is usually your first step, right? So you basically want to see, can I actually extract good content accurately out of the document? That's usually the first step. Then you will go on to basically, things like processing, chunking, and storing the database, right? Those are kind of the next stage in the pipeline. So Docling will help you with the first stage, parsing the data. And also, I know Docling can also do chunking of your document, if you want to do that. Yeah, so it can do sort of the first part of the stages. Yeah, good question. Yeah. All right. So let me show you a couple more examples here. And yeah, so here, table data. Let me go back here. So I have a table data here, right? Again, you look at the solar system overview. You can look at the PDF here, right? So here's my table data. Actually, this is interesting. So probes sent to planet, it is a multi-page table. Okay, somebody was asking me about this. So let's see how it does, right? So basically, your solar system info, and then, right? And you can see this table spans 2 pages. I'm kind of now, let me see how it does. Right? So when we do the output, by the way, here's the code. The Python code is very simple, right? We get the document converter, and then just give it a file. And then once they've done the conversion, so when they win the conversion, they extract the content out of it, right? And so they have a Docling format they convert it to, and from that format, then you can export to any other format. So the way they explain this is like this, right? So Docling, if you look at the Docling, right? Whatever files you throw at it, Docling, they have their own format. It's well documented. And from this format, once the extraction is complete, then you can export to, right? So JSON, Markdown, right? It's very simple from that point on. So that's how they do. So when you do the convert, that's what you're doing. You're doing this conversion right here. And then from there, I'm simply saying, export to Markdown, export to JSON. Yeah, pretty good, right? All right, so let's look at the tables here. Oh yeah, so probes sent to planets. Remember, this is a multi-page table. So the way they are doing this is actually pretty good, right? I sort of see it here, right? First part of the table and second part of the table. So if you look at the document, that was my, it comes like this. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's doing pretty good there. Yeah. So yeah. And then remember the invoice data we had. You can look at the invoice. All right. So this is the invoice PDF I have. I'm going to do the conversion. All right. And you can see it's extracting text. So here's a logo text. It's putting as an image placeholder. And then also you see the items, line items coming up. Yeah. So I think it's doing pretty good. And final example is HTML. So I have an HTML page here. I'm downloading it. And so, it's just, HTML. And then I'm converting into a Markdown format. And right, you can see it strips out all the formatting and gives me plain text. Very good, right? So good. So this is processing PDF documents. We showed a bunch of different PDFs, right? Tables, invoices, HTMLs. Right? So next one, I want to show you something also pretty interesting. So a lot of the PDFs when you process, they actually have digital data, as in your text is represented digitally. What if I have PDF that is scanned? So let's say you have some printed documents. You scan them in. So when you scan them in, sometimes scanners can perform OCR and then extract digital text, but a lot of the time they're just images. So let me show you how Docling actually processes this. And here's a code I want you guys to run. By the way, one more time. Here's where we are. All right. Yeah. And let's run Docling 2 OCR. So again, same drill. Open in Colab. And once you guys open it, I think I may have run this. Yeah. Yeah. And once you open in Colab, just run it. Yeah. So get the run going. Save you some time. Let me pause here for a second. Give me a thumbs up when you have the second document, second notebook open and it's running. So I'll walk through the code with you. Yeah. Very good. Very good. And remember, this code is out in the open, right? So you can try them anytime. And also, if you have any questions or comments on the code, please, just send me an email through GitHub. Okay, same deal, right? So you guys know the first part, installing Docling, all that, right? And also, right, setting up input/output directories, and I'm downloading a bunch of PDFs, but these are scanned PDFs. Let me show you a couple, right? So if you click on this link here, right? So for example, here are a bunch of PDFs. These are actually scanned, meaning so that if you look at the text, it's not digital. It's actually like an image, right? So let me show you the first one. So let me start with this scanned one PDF, right? And if you try to select the text, you cannot. Why? Because it's just an image, basically. Right? And this is what happens when you scan printed material, right? Just there's no text. So, and I call it scan1.pdf, and there are a bunch of these, right? And let me show you one. Okay, let me look at the memo. This is a memo that's interesting, so you can see, right? It's like the old school printed letter kind of a thing. And so we have that. So I'm going to try a different one, a few different ones, and we're going to see, right, how Docling handles them. And let me show you one more product brochure. These are all checked in into GitHub, right? The links are all there. So this is this is, let's say, like you picked up a brochure or I think it's printer or something. Anyway, but you guys get the idea, right? So these are all scanned PDFs, so with no digital text inside. So let's see how Docling does when we have this. And so let me close all this. Okay, here's a notebook I ran, and right, I'm downloading the files and everything. So let me skip through all this. So let's start with the command line. So first, I am doing the scan, right? If you look at the folders here, right, my input has all these, right, all this PDF downloaded. Let me look at my output. Yeah. So I'm converting the scanned one.pdf into Markdown and JSON, right? And let me take a look at this. Where's my scan.md? Now this is actually text, right? You remember my initial scan was right, right, just almost like an image. If you try to select, you cannot select this, right? Because again, downloads and try this too. There's no way to select the text, just an image. But Docling is able to extract the text, and I think it's pretty accurate. Right? You can see the text. Yeah. And here I'm just using command line, and I'm not using anything special, right? Because Docling automatically detects it's a scanned file and handles it. There's no like a special arguments I need to supply. It does it automatically. Yeah. Very good. And if you look at this command line, it's exactly the same as before, right? Like I said, there's nothing special, right? So I'm doing it into Markdown and JSON. You can look at the JSON one too if you like, right? So you recognize the JSON format. And Python API exactly the same, right? Document converter, convert, and then export to Markdown. Right? That's it. Exactly the same code as the last notebook. Yeah. Pretty nice, right? So it's detecting images automatically. All right, so let me show you a couple more. So here, right, instead of doing one by one, you can give an entire directory and then say, convert everything. And that's what I'm doing. And this step will take some time, especially when you have images, right? I mean, scan PDFs, this may take some time. You remember, right? Because it does look at the entire document and kind of get the output. But the output is actually pretty solid. So for example, if the last step, if you're running, the command line is this. You simply say docling, you just give the input directory, and it will just go through everything in the input directory and convert them for you. Yeah. But I had to comment it out just to save time. I'm showing the Python version. So Python is going one at a time. You can see, right? They're converting. So let me look at the brochure PDF. We already seen this. So I'm kind of curious to see how it does. Go back. So let's say product brochure. So remember, this is my PDF, right? And I just see it's been just converted into my output. Product brochure.md. Let me see. There you go. Right, you can see my whole text. And I think it looks pretty good. Yeah. Customer development, increasing sales of product. Right? So it is pretty impressive, actually, right? So, and it's converting to, like, for example, let me say memo or letter. So there's another one, letter one done. So we look at the markdown, right? So this is a letter. And if you look at the letter from the PDF, you'll see, right? There's a text. So it's just like an old, typewritten letter that is scanned in. Yeah. And let's see how Docling is doing. Yeah, it's doing pretty good. And you can compare the text, right? And you will see it's pretty accurate extraction. So that's it. So you can see Docling, right? It's very versatile, very powerful. I threw a bunch of documents at it, standard PDFs, HTMLs, even scanned PDFs. It's doing pretty good. Yeah. Oh, a couple of questions about OCR. So Docling is using So let me actually go here. They use support different OCR engines. So I'm just looking at the Docling documentation. Right. So they support different OCR engines. The standard one is called, I think, ECOCR, I believe. Let me see here. Yeah. And also they support Terasect as an OCR engine, and you can control it. So the default is, so right now, since I did not specify anything, they are using a package called ECOCR. And then as you can see, it's doing pretty well. But you can change the OCR engine. They support Terasect and also a couple of other more, I forgot. Let me see here. So if you look at the documentation, you will see different engines they support, right? And then, yeah. And also you can see, right, they have sample code for, like, pretty much, let's say there are different formats, how to integrate them. So take a look at their code and examples, and they will show you how to set up different engines. Yeah. Because somebody was asking me how to control the engine. Yeah. And also, if you look at the command line, same thing. Oh, there we go, right? OCR engine, you can say ECOCR or Terasect. So remember, these are OCR engines, right? Terasect is a pretty popular OCR engine. They can extract, we give it an image, it'll extract the text out of this. So Docling actually leverages that. So yeah, you can plug in whichever one you. So again, there's no right or wrong answer here. Just try it out, and maybe for your documents that maybe Terasect does better than OCR, then you can use that. Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah. Let me look at these. Question about character sets, simplified Chinese and Arabic. Interesting question. I'm going to refer you to the doc, and because remember the models will support. You can find this out. You can say which language they support. But I know they support a bunch of languages. So please check to see if they support your language. You remember, right? The models are trained on PDFs. So when they see a PDF, they can extract the content. So that means they need to support the language you're interested in. So take a look at this. Yeah, they should have a list somewhere. I remember seeing this somewhere. They have a language, support a languages format. Yeah. Very good. Good questions. Let me scroll up a bit. Yeah, so there are other frameworks like unstructured, right? I mean, I use other frameworks like this as well. To me, Docling is, there are many tools in this segment. To me, Docling, I'm really impressed with the quality of the output. It may not be the fastest tool out there, right? Because remember, it uses the machine learning model, so the extraction does take some time, but it's pretty accurate, and it can handle large variety of documents. And for like formats like tables, images, right, OCRs and things like this. So which is actually pretty good selling point for Docling. Yeah. So if you are looking at processing documents, if you're using another tool, I will highly recommend give Docling a try, and yeah, and see how it works for you. Question was, can it handle like acronyms? Like I think you're meaning like entities. I'm meaning like entity detection, like a people, person. That's a good question. I haven't tried this personally. Check out the documentation to see if they. So for everyone wondering, like entity detection meaning like can it recognize like a place name? If somebody says New York, right? Can it do like it's a place? But I have used Spacey before to do that. So maybe one thing you can do, just extract the content from Docling, get the text version, and then feed it to Spacey. That will extract the entities. So entities can be person, locations, right? Company names and things like this. Yeah, I know Spacey is very good at that. So maybe it's a two-step process. Docling to extract the content, and then Spacey to extract the entities. Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. All right. Let me see any other questions. And yeah, we are coming pretty close to the time. All right, guys. So these are the two things I want to show, right? So basically, let me put the link to the presentation so you have it. And by the way, all this will be on the website, the AI Alliance website, right? So we'll always update them here. You can always check it out. So I will update them right after this. And the code is here. So please give it a try. So hopefully you can, you're able to run the code and see it for yourself and see how easy it is to use. And like I said, I demonstrated using Google Colab. But if you're going to be using this, do set up your local environment, and it's pretty easy, right? You can see just a few lines of code, and I highly recommend having a local environment set up. Yeah. All right. So that's all I wanted to show you, show in this session. Now, any questions, please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. We actually have you on mute just so the line is clear. So please go ahead and type in your question if you don't mind. So yeah, I just want to keep the line clear. Yeah. Go ahead, guys. Yeah. Any questions? Please go ahead. Let me check a few. Right. Oh yeah. So the Alliance office hours are here. So all the sessions we are doing, right? We have links to here. So if you missed one past one, we will even have once the recordings become available, right? We'll actually put recordings here. Yeah. So if you want to catch up on past events, you can go here. Right? So this should be a one-stop shop for all the Alliance events. Yep. All right. So if there are no more questions, I think we are done. So again, thank you so much for being part of the session. We look forward to seeing you in the next one. Yep.
Great. Thank you so much, Sujee.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you next time.